So we look at solving quadratic equations in one variable using formula. Okay, so from our lesson that we had last time, let's take a review. We said that the formula that we use is x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac out of 2a. So this is the formula that we use to solve any quadratic equation. Okay, and let's look at some numbers that we already looked at just to remember how we were doing it. So let us have 2x squared plus 3x minus 7 is equal to 0. And then we will be able to apply our formula. So, and I want you to note that we know that the general form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And always a is not equal to 0. And remember, we said that it is a quadratic equation because of this squared. When we don't have this squared, then it will not be a quadratic equation. Okay, so then, according to this general form, we can say that if we write it here as ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This means that a is 2, b is 3, and c is negative 7. So we can say that a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, and c is equal to negative 7. So let's apply this in our formula by substituting these values. Remember, x is equal to minus b. So b is 3, so this will be minus 3. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, that will be 3 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times times c, which is negative 7. And then we divide it by 2a, and a is 2. Okay, so then we know that we have minus 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared, that will be 9. Then minus 4 times 2, that will be minus 8. And then minus 8, minus 8 times minus 7, we get plus 56. And we make this out of 2 times 2, which is 4. So that we come up with minus 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 56, that will be 65. Okay, out of 4. So this is actually the value of x, but we can separate it and we get 2 answers. So we say that this is the same as negative 3 plus or minus. You can use your calculator to get the square root of 65. That should be 8.06 when we correct it to 2 decimal places. So then it means that we have negative 3 plus or minus 8.06 out of 4. So we can go ahead and say that x is equal to negative 3 plus 8.06 out of 4, or x is equal to minus 3 minus 8.06 out of 4. And then the first one, this one, that one will give us minus 3 plus 8.06, that will give us 5.06. Let me still use black color. 5.06 out of 4. All minus 3 minus 8.06, it will give us minus 11.06 divided by 4. So you can place these values in your calculator so that you get 5.06 divided by 4, you will get 1.27. Then minus 11.06 divided by 4, this will give you minus 2.77. When you round your answer to 2 decimal places. So these are our 2 values of x. Is that okay, student? Okay. So let's take another example just to help us remember very well on how to use the formula to solve quadratic equations in one variable. So in example 2, let's have when we have a quadratic equation that is not in a general form. Let's say we have x into x minus 5 is equal to 7 minus 2x. Now, when we have an equation like this, it's not easy for us to know what is A, what is B, and what is C. And if we don't have A, B, and C, then we cannot use our formula to get the solutions to our equation. So what do we do then? We must make sure that we rewrite this equation so that it can be in the general form. Remember, the general form is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So we are going to rewrite this equation so that we have it in the general form. So since we have x into x minus 5 is equal to 7 minus 2x. So we get x times x, that will give us x squared. Then we get x times minus 5, that will give us minus 5x. Then what we are going to do, we equate it to 7 minus 2x. But remember, after equal sign, we must have a 0. So what we are going to do, we are going to say that we have x squared minus 5x. Now this 7, we bring it this side to have minus 7. And this minus 2x, we also take it this side to have plus 2x is equal to, so the whole of this one is already taken away. So this means that it is equal to 0. Okay, now we say that we have x squared minus 5x plus 2x minus 7 is equal to 0. And then we know that minus 5x plus 2x, we will get minus 3x. You see that? Now, minus 7 is equal to 0. And now, this becomes the general form. So with this, we can know what is A, what is B, and what is C. So according to this, we can say that A is 1. B is -3. And C, it is -7. Do you understand that? Max, can you hear me? Arirat, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so now, since we know A and we know B and we know C, we can now use our formula. Remember, our formula is that x is equal to minus b plus all minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac out of 2a. That is our formula that we have to use. So from this formula, we shall substitute these a, b, and c with these values that we have. So we say that minus b, it will be, remember b is -3. So we have minus -3 plus all minus the square root of b squared. So that will be -3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is -7. And then out of 2a, which is 2 times a, which is 1. I hope you can understand this. So now, the negative of -3, that will give you a positive of 3. So plus all minus. Thus, when we have -3 squared, that will give us 9 because it is negative 3 times negative 3. Now, minus 4 times 1, you will get minus 4. And minus 4 times minus 7, you will get plus 28. And now we divide it by 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay? Now, in our next step, we are having 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 28. And if you get 9 plus 28, you will be able to get 37. You see that? And now we divide it by 2. Now, you get your calculator, you get the square root of 37. So you will get a number, a very long number, like 6.0827 and many other numbers. Now, but let's correct this to 2 decimal places. So this means that we will say that we have, let's use approximate sign. So we have 6.08. We cannot make 8 to become 9 because here we have 2, and 2 cannot round 8. So it will still remain as 8. So we have 6.08. So we are going to use 6.08 instead of the square root of 37. So we say that we have 3 plus or minus the square root of 37, which is 6.08. Now, out of 2. Now, at this stage, we will get 2 solutions. We will say that x is equal to 3. Now we use plus. We first leave minus. 3 plus 6.08 out of 2, all 3 minus 6.08 out of 2. So those are our 2 solutions. Now, when we go ahead, we see that 3 plus 6.08 will give us 9.08, and we divide it by 2. All 3 minus 6.08, this will give us minus 3.08, and we also divide it by 2. Now, on your calculator, get 9.08 divided by 2. You should be able to get 4.54. All, now get negative 3.08 divided by 2. You should be able to get negative 1.54. So therefore, our 2 solutions are that x is equal to 4.54 all. Let me write this very, very well. Okay. 4.54 all negative 1.54. Do you understand, everyone? Okay. Now, you see, when you are solving these quadratic equations using the formula, you can quickly tell if you will have one solution or if you don't have any solution for this equation, or you have two solutions. And let's discover that in our next examples. So let's evaluate these three. Let's evaluate these three equations. Then we will be able to draw some conclusions about the solutions of quadratic equations in one variable. Now, let's evaluate. Number one, let's have 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 is equal to 0. Then, after that, I want us to let me draw a line here. Okay. After that, we will evaluate another one. Let's call it number 2. So this one, let's have 2x squared plus 5x plus 8 is equal to 0. 2x squared plus 5x plus 8 is equal to 0. Let me draw another line here so that we can get number 3. Okay, so for number 3, let us have 3x squared plus 5x minus 4 is equal to 0. We are going to solve these 3 equations, and we see how will the answers be looking like. And as we solve these equations, our step number 1, we will be finding what is b squared minus 4ac. Okay, don't forget the formula. The formula is that x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac out of 2a. This is our formula. You must know it because this formula can solve any quadratic equation. If you cannot solve the equation using factorization, no problem, you can apply this formula. So it's good to be knowing this formula. Whenever you meet any quadratic equation, you just apply it. You will be able to get the answers. Okay, so in number 1, A is 4, B is negative 12, C is 9. In number 2, A is 2, B is 5, and C is 8. In number 3, A is 3, B is 5, C is negative 4. Okay. Now, I told you step 1, let us first know what is the value of b squared minus 4ac. Let us first know b squared minus 4ac. Okay. Now, b squared minus 4ac in part 1 will be that b is minus 12. So we shall have minus 12 squared. Then minus 4a times c, which is 9. You see that? So minus 12 squared will give you 144. Minus 4 times 4 times 9, you will get 144. So that b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0. You see that? Now, if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, let us now continue and get the final answer. We know that x is equal to minus b, this one. So that will be minus negative 12 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And we have already got that b squared minus 4ac. We have seen that it is 0. So this means that we shall say the square root of 0 out of 2a. So that is 2 times a. 2 times a. And a is 4. You see that? So if we continue, we see that a negative of negative 12, that will give you positive 12. Now, plus or minus the square root of 0. The square root of 0 is 0. Out of 2 times 4, 2 times 4 will give you 8. And now, 2 plus 0 will give, 12 plus 0 will give you 12. And even 12 minus 0 will still give you 12. So it means that you only have 12 out of 8. You see, we are getting one solution because 12 plus 0 is 12. 12 minus 0 is 12. So we cannot have two solutions. So you see that 12 minus, 12 minus 0 is 12. 12 plus 0 is 12. So we have 12 out of 8. And 12 out of 8 will give you 1.5. Now, you see, x is equal to 1.5. Only one solution. So this actually means that, when b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, then the equation has got one real solution. Just get to know that. So if I give you homework, you look at the equation, you first get b squared minus 4ac. You will quickly know that, okay, I expect to get one answer, or I expect to get two answers, or I don't expect any answer. So you quickly tell me that no solution. You don't need to waste a lot of time. So this is very, very important trick for you to know, because it will save you time. Okay, now let's check out part 2. How will it be? So now let us have b squared minus 4ac. Okay, b is 5, so that will be 5 squared, minus 4 times a is 2, times c is 8. So you are getting 25, which is 5 squared, minus 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 8 is 64. So you are getting 25 minus 64. Now, if you get 25 minus 64, you will be getting negative 39. Okay, so we know b squared minus 4ac is negative 39. Now, let's substitute it into our equation. Into our formula. Our formula is that x is equal to minus b. So that will be minus b is 5. So we have minus 5. plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. B squared minus 4ac, we have already seen that it is negative 39. So we say the square root of negative 39 out of 2a. So that is 2 times 2, because our a in number 2 is 2. So this means that we get x, which is equal to minus 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 39 out of 2 times 2, which is 4. But now, you know that we cannot have a square root of a negative number. Since we have to find the square root of negative 39, this kind of square root does not exist. You cannot get a square root of a negative number. So if you get your calculator and you place there square root of negative 39, the calculator will tell you that this is error. Error means that it cannot happen, that it is not there. So you cannot get square root of a negative number. You know the meaning of square root. A square root of a number comes from the square number. You get a number times a number, what you get is square number. So it's like I'm telling you, what number can you multiply by itself to get negative 39? That number is not there. So we say that we cannot get square root of negative 39. So no solution. X has no solution, simply because we cannot get the square root of a negative number. So now our conclusion in this part should be that when b squared minus 4ac is negative, then the equation has no real solution. Okay, so when I give you homework, you will be finding that some equations have no solution. But to avoid wasting time, you need to first get b squared minus 4ac, and you will know that my equation has a solution or has no solution. And if it has solution, how many solutions? Is it one or there are two? So it's very important part of solving quadratic equations. Okay, now let's look at part 3, and this will be our last part. Okay, now for this part, let us have b squared minus 4ac. B squared, we have 5, so that will be 5 squared. Okay, so now when we have 5 squared, we will say minus 4 times a, which is 3, then times c, which is negative 4. So 5 squared will give you 25. Minus 4 times 3 will give you minus 12. And minus 12 times minus 4 will give you positive 48. You see, you know 4 times 12 is 48. Okay, now get 25 plus 48. 25 plus 48. What do you get? 25 plus 48. What do you get? Arirat, what do you get? 25 plus 48. Yes, please.
73.
73. Very good. Okay. Now, Since we know b squared minus 4ac, it is equal to 73, let's bring in our equation. Sorry, our formula. Our formula is that x is equal to minus b. So it is minus b here is 5, so it is minus 5 plus all minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And we know that b squared minus 4ac is equal to 73. So I write the square root of 73 out of 2a. That is 2 times a. Here a is 3. So it means that I have x is equal to minus 5 plus all minus. Okay. On your calculator, get the square root of 73. If you get the square root of 73 and you round it to 2 decimal places, you'll get 8.54. 8.54 when you correct it to 2 decimal places. So we say that, so we have negative 5 plus or minus 8.54, which is the square root of 73. And now we divide it by 2 times 3, which is 6. I hope that is okay. Now, here we can say that x is equal to minus 5 plus 8.54 out of 6, all minus 5 minus 8.54 out of 6. You see, already we are getting 2 solutions. So this will be x is equal to minus 5 plus 8.54. This will give you 3.54, and you divide it by 6. All minus 5 minus 8.54, this will give you minus 13.54 out of 6. And then we get x is equal to 0.59, all negative 2.26. Don't worry about this. Just write this in your calculator and you get the answer. So that is the value of x. So what do you note about this? We can say that when, let me write it on the next page. We can say that when b squared minus 4ac is positive, when it is positive, positive means that it will be greater than 0. It means that b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. So when it is greater than 0, then it will be a positive. So when b squared minus 4ac is a positive, the equation has 2 real solutions. I hope you have understood that. We can get 1 solution, we can get 2 solutions, we can get no solution. Okay? Let me summarize this in a number line. We can say that this is 0. And of course, this side is positive, and this side is negative. So it means that when b squared minus 4ac is 0, it means no solution. When b squared minus 4ac is positive, it means that we have two solutions. Sorry. There is a, okay, let me correct this, two solutions. Then when we have 0, it means that we have one solution. One solution. Then when we have negative, it means no solution. So negative, no solution, when b squared minus 4ac is negative, no solution. When b squared minus 4ac is 0, we have one solution. When b squared minus 4ac is positive, it means that we have two solutions. Okay. So that's all for our lesson of today. Now, I want you to go to your book for homework. You look at page 75 to page 77, and you do those questions using our quadratic formula that we have looked at in this lesson. So we are going to stop here for today, and we meet again on Tuesday next week. Tuesday next week, it will be time for the test.